Getting ready to go live. This was originally scheduled for right after the event, but because it was late and I'm on the West Coast, it was probably even later for people on the East Coast. But hello, Jiu Jitsu nerds. There's been plenty of news on this episode of On Borrowed Time, or just kidding, it's not On Borrowed Time, of an Alex Winley Jiu Jitsu live chat. We are going to be talking about the 100K women's tournament that is going to go down at CJI. If you haven't seen On Borrowed Time, that is a new podcast that I'm hosting with Craig. Those are all on B Team's YouTube channel. And then I also post clips on my Spotify and my own YouTube channel as well. And then, of course, we have to talk about Fight Pass Invitational 11. A lot of people were making jokes about like the rule set, them copying Craig and all that. I'm going to share my opinion on that as well. What is up, Paolo? Let me know if you guys have any questions. I have my phone nearby too. I know that there's so much stuff going on the CJI's Instagram as well when it comes to questions. But today we're just going to focus on what we saw yesterday, which was Fight Pass Invitational, a long and highly anticipated match between Ffion Davies and Adele Fornarino took place, and the final scorecard looked like 29-28 Ffion, 27-30 Adele, and 29-28 Ffion. A lot of people were looking at this as a robbery. So I want to get your guys' opinion first. Did you think it was a robbery? Did you think Adele Fornarino got robbed? I remember when I was in the moment, it felt like it could be a robbery. And then after rewatching it, after really considering what UFC's rule set is, I definitely don't think it's a robbery. I think it would have been a robbery if it was unanimous decision, Ffion Davies. But because it was a split decision, because one judge did have Adele winning all 3 rounds, and then the other 2 had Ffion winning 2, it made me want to look closer at these rules, because there was a lot of speculation that the rule set was just like a CJI clone, and it is not. So the CJI rule set, they do open scoring. So that's one big thing that I guess could have affected some of the play that happened at Fight Pass Invitational 11, is these girls didn't know what the scores were. CJI rules 3 5-minute rounds. That's the only thing that was kind of a copycat of CJI. The 10-9 round scoring criteria, they started off the broadcast with an interview of Claudia Gadelha, basically asking for the inspiration of this rule set. And I think a big reason for them doing that was because Craig commented on the Fight Pass and was like, excellent idea. And so they might have been trying to save face, like, hey, we didn't copy the CJI rule set. We actually did this in June of 2023. And so me being the Fight Pass Invitational nerd that I am, I'm thinking, oh, I've been watching all the Fight Pass Invitationals. June 2023. That's when Craig went up against Felipe Pena, beat him in EBI overtime. And there was also an absolute tournament that was also in EBI overtime rule set. Eddie Bravo was there. So it was a very EBI themed night. And so when I thought about that event, and then them saying that their event in June of 2023 was this rule set, I was like, oh gosh, I hope they're not blatantly lying right now. And then I went back, watched the full episode, and what they were referring to is the 3 by 4 minute round that they did with Glover Teixeira and Lionheart. And that was scored with the 10-point must system. So that's what they're referring to when they said that they were taking inspiration from their June 2023 card. Because I know a lot of people were speculating that they were just blatantly lying or not trying to give Craig Jones credit for that that implementation of the rule set. The reasoning that Claudia said that it took them a year and a half to do this is because they needed time with the judges and the referees to really also figure out what makes it the most exciting and how they want to score it. So if that clears anything up for people, I hope it does. Let me go to this UFC Fight Pass Invitational rule set. Okay, so 3 judges score about 10-point must system, 3 5-minute rounds. Fine. Judging criteria is based on, in this order, initiation of bout ending techniques. So the only really, I I think pivotal moment that we saw, or submission threat that we saw, was Adele's Aoki lock at 4 minutes and 29 seconds of the second round. We heard even a little bit of a pop. So I really want to find the judges' scorecards, because if anyone scored that one for Ffion, I think that would be crazy. But then the next bullet point of judging criteria is effective action. So I think a lot of people were saying that Adele was putting all these submission attempts and this and that, but I don't think submission attempts are 100% what they're looking for when they're talking about effective action. And then the third criteria, which I think is what a lot of people are missing, is the control aspect. So maybe the judges are viewing from the viewpoint of, hey, this person is on top, they're controlling the action. What is your guys' take? I thought Adele won. Ffion was unable to pass guard the whole time, and although Adele played guard, she was the only one that had any attempts at a sub. Yeah, I definitely thought the second round attempt was the best attempt, and I think that's one of the only ones that was really significant. I do understand what Ffion was saying, like she can't control what the other person is doing if they don't want to engage. So her perception of the situation was that, one, she wants to do a rematch. I love the way she handled the post match situation. You had people in the background yelling bullshit and do some moves or different stuff like that. And she kind of just looked at him straight in the eye and said, I don't like you disrespecting me. I've been respectful to your camp this whole time. And I think she was right to do so. That's unfortunate that the tensions kind of, I guess, soiled what was supposed to be a really great moment for women's jiu-jitsu. The first time female fighters are not only headlining, but also co-main eventing a Fight Pass Invitational event. But at the end of the day, now Ffion Davies is 2-0 against Adele. Getting a rematch could be really difficult. And I think she has the right to kind of put her foot down and say, I'm not going to do it at 125. So now it's up to Adele if she'd want to take that fight at 135. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention about that. I just wanted to say that, like, there's been a lot of speculation about exclusive contracts and different narratives going around about how that affects the rest of the jiu-jitsu community. I personally have spoken with Ffion at CJI when I interviewed her, and I love her. She's the sweetest soul, and she has, been through so much since CJI, personal things, moving the country, and then the injury that she had. And then she goes to Fight Pass Invitational, wins the match. A lot of people think it's arguable, but I still think that that is something to be so proud of, that everything that she's been through since CJI, like a breakup, an injury, moving, trying to open her gym, and then all of the drama of people kind of putting pressure on her as like this person to be the only one who can stand up for women's jiu-jitsu or something along that line. I think that's not fair. And I just love Ffion so much. I love the way that she handled Fight Pass Invitational's post-fight interview and the people giving her hate. And I have a lot of respect for her also for saying that she would want to take on Ana Vieira, who is someone that is often, in her words, overlooked, but is one of the GOATs of her sports. But I do know that Raquel Canuto is looking for a rematch with her after a pretty spicy thing that Ana Vieira did. She goes up to, handshake Raquel Canuto, and then she does a pretty not so tasteful motion about taking Raquel Canuto's crown of Fight Pass Invitational, taking the crown, fake putting it on, and then chucking it out of the building or something like that. We're like mimes out here, but let's see what Raquel Canuto thought of that.
One last thing, this message is for baby. After you shook my hand, you took this imaginary crown and you pretended to put it on your head and you threw it away. I never left the crown there. I'm still the queen of FPI. I was never the queen of FPI because I was undefeated or because I was winning. I was the queen of FPI, or am the queen of FPI, because I have been building this division on my back the last year and a half so that women like you can have these opportunities. And I will continue to be it. So I never left the crown. I don't know what crown you picked up. That was just so ugly, and we just don't need that, So still here, right here.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you guys caught that part of their exchange, but I think a big reason that maybe Ana Vieira isn't as popular as other grapplers because, like Ffion said, she is one of the greatest of the sport. Well, sometimes when you do distasteful things, people just don't like you that much and you don't get as much push as you probably deserve. So I'm excited for Raquel. I think she's going to hopefully get the rematch at some point. But if Fion's calling for a match with Anna, it could definitely go that way because I don't see an immediate rematch with Adele happening anytime soon. But what do you think will happen? I think this opens the door for a lot of CJI2 women's bracket talk because there has not officially been announced the bracket that they will be choosing. If Ffion Davies is not able to compete in CJI, what other athletes are going to be big athletes that we want? Are we going to want to go 115 division? Are we going to want to go 125? Are we going to want to go 135? There's obviously so much talent too when we get into the heavier divisions as well. Could there ultimately be more than just 4 women involved? Could we get an 8-woman bracket? I know that we're looking at this 4-woman bracket as kind of like a co-main event type of deal. So maybe when we're considering time constraints of how long we'll be able to be in Thomas Mack Arena, the broadcast, all that. But I don't know. I think Mob, who I have to give a shout out to, let me show you guys this real quick clip.
Tournament on top of this event.
Yesterday, Craig Jones posted this. In the caption says 100K women's divisions on the B Team credit card. In collaboration with Mab BJJ, I looked at her caption and she had the huevos to tag him and say, put some women's divisions in CJI too. I'm just kidding. She was totally respectful about the whole thing and said, please put women's divisions in CJI too. But of course, in Craig fashion, he recreated that to say, put some women's divisions in CJI too, which is also a fitting tone. One of the top comments on Craig's post comes from 2-time ADCC champ Adele Fornarino, who's going to be competing in her Fight Pass Invitational debut against CJI champ Ffion Davies. So let us know in the comments below which 4 female athletes you would want to see in a $100,000 division bracket. Also, make sure you go to CJI.
And then we close off with the breaking news. 30 minutes from now, guys, if you're on that early release ticket for CJI, make sure you get on that. So we were just talking about how Mab, who posted on her stories, I actually got this wrong in my clip. She posted on her stories what Craig screenshotted and posted on his feed, which was basically put some effing women's divisions in CJI2. When we think back to some episodes of On Borrowed Time, Craig did mention that there would be another 4-man bracket potentially added in. Another kind of quote that we've had from Craig is that you don't have to compete against us. Like these other promotions, they don't have to compete against us. And it is one event a year. We're not like a series. And this is just the one chance, one time a year to blow the bank, which in that case allows speculation for other people like Mab, who was in the comments that said, you can do better than a 4-woman bracket though, let's be real. So let's see how much better it can get. I mean, things have not been officially locked in, but I would love to see, a full out division of female grapplers, just because I really do think that the depth is there. We remember from Ffion Davies's last interview with CJI, I asked her what she wants for the future, and she said she really wanted women's divisions. And so there's been a lot of speculation on what her contract exactly entails. From my understanding, the goal was that she'd be able to compete in tournaments, maybe not super fights. That might be, often exclusive with UFC, but a tournament would be on the table. Will that information stay true? And this is all just speculation that the UFC might try to make all of their athletes not be involved with CJI. We do know that one championship is now being super easy to work with and guaranteeing that all their athletes will be able to be involved. But we are seeing some of the UFC athletes that have signed, if they have not explicitly said that they want CJI in their contract. There could be some problems there. So we're just going to have to stay tuned to find out. I did ask about the tackets in the last episode of On Borrowed Time. He said he can't make any comments about the tackets. William Tackett, I think someone just made a comment about, I mean, incredibly easy work. Like I had to rewatch that back take many times because I'm like, how did that happen so easily, so seamlessly? And obviously the America's Misfits teams have not been officially announced. And I like to keep it real, y'all. So do I feel like the European Misfits squad got a little bit screwed up? I definitely am excited to see the documentary that is coming out at 10 a.m. I think the whole point of this team CJI thing is to find out who the best team was. And, the Misfits, that shakes things up in general, but it would be nice if it was like actually the European Misfits team. You had Paul Ardilla somehow sneak his way into the trials and then take out Taylor Pearman, who has just been on many Polaris events, is so, I don't know, it's just someone that the European people would have been wanting to cheer for. And now we have Paul on that team. And so if you guys watch the episode of On Borrowed Time, I try to keep it real with Craig. Like I asked him, I'm like, why was Owen O'Flanagan not invited when he left ADCC for CJI? And he gave his answer. And that's what I really appreciate about working with CJI is they let you ask the good questions that people want to know. And with Fight Pass Invitational, I feel like that's what they were trying to address when they mentioned that they weren't stealing this rule set. But there were other questions that could have been asked for the broadcast that I imagine weren't allowed to be asked. So with that being said, you guys let me know if you have any questions that you really want asked. I definitely love Owen O'Flanagan. I thought him making it to the quarterfinals? I thought he did awesome. I thought leaving ADCC is a big deal. I totally get that Owen Jones is a shoo-in for the European team, especially because he left B team. Not left B team, but let Ethan Krellenstedt have the B team spot instead of doing a trials for that spot. So yeah, I get all the reasoning for sure. At first, it was Charles Negromonte being the wild card because he doesn't have a passport, but he's been living there for 15 years. So, and he also submitted Isaac Michel, which was like his golden ticket in. So now Paul Ardilla identifies as the wild card. All right, y'all, I got a media day going down with PGF coming up. They officially announced their coaches. We got Mika Spelli, Andy Varela, Renato Canuto, and Robert Drysdale. I think there's a lot of potential for cool narratives to go down this season, especially with the fact that Renato used to train with Robert Drysdale. There is Brady Branscombe, who trains with Ninja Andy Varela. There is Chris Olivo, who is white to black belt under Robert Drysdale. So we're going to be able to talk to all those people. Let me see if there's any other news that I wanted to touch on before I let you guys go. But yeah, what did you guys think about not having open scoring at Fight Pass Invitational? I feel like that's a big part of the reason why there was it felt like there was more controversy than it really was. Do you like open scoring or do you like waiting until the judges make their announcement? All right. Yep, I think that's all the information I wanted to give you guys. So next time I see you, it will probably be on an episode of On Borrowed Time. Head to B Team's YouTube channel for that. And also the documentary is going to be dropping at 10 a.m. of the Euro trials. And tickets, early pre-sale tickets are going on sale in 20 minutes. So if you're on that emailing list, you should be eyeballing your email. Yeah, a lot of people are calling it a robbery from Adele. My main thing, Harps, was that one of their judging criteria is control. So if one of those judges is looking at top position and constantly pushing forward and being the aggressor, that could potentially, even the announcer said that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Oh, he's a funny guy. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget, tickets are going on sale for CJI 2 very soon. If you have not signed up for the early release tickets, cji2.com, and I will talk to you soon.